Good morning, everyone. I think we'll get started. There's still a couple to come in, but they can come in and catch up. Today, I welcome you to the PKF Adelaide webinar in our series of business webinars. And today our topic is about what makes an outstanding business. I think most of you know me, Andrew Russo. I'm a business mechanic with the PKF. And my role is just helping business owners develop and implement strategies within their businesses. I have a great belief that accounting firms need to help clients not just with tax, but to achieve growth, profitability, and wealth. So I'm really about helping people who are serious about implementing change within their businesses. So today I want to talk about what makes an outstanding business. Over my time working with businesses, particularly with startups, you see so many people who think starting up a business is going to be fairly easy. They come up with an idea, they talk to their mates, everyone tells them how good of an idea it is, but when they get started, they find it's just a lot more than what they thought it was going to be, and making money is going to be fairly difficult. I also see the other side where existing clients I talk to and they tell me how difficult business is, and that they're, the competition they have, and the markets and the Chinese products coming in, and just life is fairly difficult. But I look down the road at their competition and see businesses that are doing extremely well. So why do we get these differences? Why do we get some startups who really do well? We have other businesses that do extremely well and others struggle. And I want to look at what I think is the difference between those businesses. So what are the key attributes? You can talk to people and ask them what they think, great businesses are all about, and what's the major thing that those great businesses have, and you'll get a heap of different answers. You'll get things like leadership and systems thinking and personal development, change management, marketing, good sales, good people, good innovation, a whole range of those sort of things. But I think there's one issue that stands with all of that, and that without this ingredient, the rest doesn't really work. And this one ingredient really enhances all of these others. And I think that's about understanding and insight. The more understanding you have about the business, the more you know the industry, and so your customers, your suppliers, your people, the insight that you have, the more it's going to enable you to achieve. It gives you the knowledge, the understanding of what's happening in your industry, in your business, and so on. And with that knowledge, it gives you the ability to then plan a lot better planning that enables you then to be able to put in place much better strategies and actions that can improve, which then allows you then to have much better implementation of that strategy, and hopefully therefore far more successful. So the old KPIs of key success, key performance indicators, I think it comes back to another one of KPI, which is knowledge, plan, and implement. And under that, it's about getting the right data and getting the insight from that data. The more data you have that's correct data, it's no use having financial information and accounting systems and CRM programs and all those sort of things. But if you're not putting the right data in, you're not going to get the right information back. So good data's got to go in, and with that data comes great insight. So I want to give you the analogy of an athlete. If you look at an athlete, all great athletes start off, they have a very clear vision and purpose of where they want to go. And in some cases, people often mistake that for being arrogant and so on, because they really very clearly know what they want to get to and where they want to get to, and how good they are. So they have that very clear vision and purpose. With that, they have a diet. They can't exist without having a good diet. They also have a level of fitness, and they also have technique. And I think technique is probably the most important part, because without technique, it doesn't matter how fit or what your diet's like or how fit you are. If you haven't got the technique, you're not going to succeed. So I think technique's probably the number one issue for great athletes. And if they get the combination of all that correct, then it will reflect in their performances. So if we look at a business, the business is no different. In every business, we need to have a very clear vision and purpose of where we're going. Where do we want to be? Why are we there? We need to have a good diet. And in a business, the good diet is cash flow. Cash is king. You also need to have a level of fitness, and the fitness is reflected in the balance sheet. The balance sheet shows us how fit we are, how strong our business is. And then we have technique, which is all about our systems and procedures. And the level of fitness and the diet is reflected in our technique. You know, if we got good technique in relation to debt collection and so on, then we have good cash flow. So the technique is really, really important. And all of that then reflects in our performance, which is reflected in our profit and loss. But we've got to remember that the profit and loss account is purely a scorecard. It just tells us what profit we've made and reflects the effect and the impact of what we've done in respect to our diet, our fitness, and our technique. It doesn't tell us where we've gone wrong in those. All it's telling us is that if we haven't reached the level of performance we wanted, somewhere in there we're not performing. So we've got to go back in and start to have a look. So with an athlete, the same thing applies. If he's not getting his performance, he goes back and he starts to look at his diet, and he looks at things like body measurements, waist to height ratio, calories, lean mass, protein intake. He's really looking at what's going on with his diet. Has he got his diet right? He goes to fitness and he looks at things in his fitness in respect to his pulse, his heart rate, his muscular strength, his endurance, and he measures all those things to see where he's going in his fitness, and he continues to work on those things to get his fitness up. And then they work on technique. So if you look at it in, say, a football team, the technique, you know, every week you'll see with the Crows or Port, you'll see statistics in relation to the number of frees given away, the percentage of drop marks, the number of goals kicked, percentage of goals kicked as against points, the kicking efficiency. They're looking at all those things to try and identify areas of technique that aren't right that they can start to work on and try to improve. So all athletes do that, all football teams, all basketball teams, sport, are looking at all these things to try and improve them to then get that better performance. So in business, what do? You know, every business needs to be able to do the same. As I said, the profit and loss is just your report card. You've got to come back and look at your diet. You've got to start to measure the amount of free cash you're generating. What's your debt to capital ratio? What's your working capital ratio? How much of every sale you're getting are you chewing up in looking after your working capital, your debtors and your stock and those sort of things. In relation to your fitness, you know, we've got to look at what's happening in relation to the number of debtor days, the inventory days. What's the return on capital you're getting? Because they're a reflection of the fitness of the business and how well the business is running in respect to those major assets of the business. And then we come back to technique, you know, and the systems and processes. And here it's really important because this is the thing that drives everything else. If you're looking at systems, say from a marketing point of view and sales, what's your sales process? How is it working? Who's your target market? How many customers you're seeing? What's the average sale per customer? With staff, you know, what's your staff turnover? What's your number of sick days? You know, are things happening and working with your staff? Is there rework going on? What's the wastage happening in the business? What's your operational procedures to get rid of that? What's the customer service programs like? What's your referral programs working like? All that product development, innovation, what's happening in all the systems procedures? Are you recording? Are you measuring? Do you know what's happening? Because all of those come back to reflect in the profit and loss in relation to your performance. And if you don't get those things right, then performance doesn't work. And again, as I said, the performance is just your measuring card. It just tells you the result. Doesn't tell you what's happening in these other areas. You've got to come back to technique, you've got to come back to fitness, and you've got to be looking at those things to ensure that it's right. And outstanding businesses do that very well. So, and then performance, we look at things like gross profit margins, net profit expenses, and things like that. But again, that's just the report card. So outstanding businesses look at what are the enablers and what's the result they're getting from those enablers. So the enablers are what the business does, and the results are, what the business achieves. So to enable the business to achieve, it's got to get the enablers right, and the enablers are the leadership, the people right, the policies and strategies right, the partnerships and resources right, and your processes right. You get all those things right and understanding of those and make sure they're all working properly, then you're going to get the results. So it's the understanding of those enablers and how they're working your business. Are you measuring them? Are you looking at them? Are you continually trying to improve them? That will eventually give you the results that you want to get. So the results are caused by the enablers. Know what your enablers are, know what's happening with them, and make them work. Um, uh, there was some work done in relation to the 7 domains of real business, and there was strategic focus, customer value, leadership and team performance, cultures, process excellence, talent management, knowledge management. All those things go to help the enablers and work on the enablers. But as a good business, you need to understand those things and what's happening in your business. So we'll get the data right, we get the insight right, we then are able to go in and problem solve the issues, develop the strategy and implement the changes. And it's a clear process that enables that to happen. But research shows that with most businesses and most change, when businesses go about trying to change an issue within their business, there's probably only a 30% probability of that change success actually happening, because most businesses don't have a great process of change. They don't have a great process of problem solving and improving, and they continually do what they've always done and therefore continually get the results that they've always got. So you've really got to look at if you want to improve, you want to get better, you want to become an outstanding business, then you've got to start to look at your change and start making things happen. So outstanding businesses have great change processes in place. They continually look at what they're doing, continually changing where they have to. Not change for the sake of change, but change for the better. So if we look at the strategic planning model for a good business, we come back to the fact that, one, there's the vision. Very clear vision of where the business needs to be in the future, where you want to be, what's the main aim of that business. Secondly, they know the purpose. They know why they're there. They know from their customer's point of view what they're trying to achieve and what their need of their customer is, and therefore what that need is that they're trying to fulfill. They understand their purpose of why they're there. If they understand very clearly the vision and purpose, then they can very quickly work out what the competitive advantage is. What is the advantage that they get in the marketplace over and above their competitors, because they understand what's going on. That understanding then leads to saying, okay, I understand my purpose, I understand my vision, I understand my competitive advantage, therefore marketing strategy to enable this to happen has to be this. So it enables them to concentrate very clearly on what marketing needs to happen, and underneath that, what are the operational strategies they need to put in place to then support that marketing strategy. And from there, it then says, okay, if that's the operation strategies we need to put in place, these are the systems, processes we need to make that happen, then I need to understand very clearly what strategies in innovation I need to input into that to make sure it continues to improve and grow. What human resource strategies do I need in place? What are the skills of the people I need? What type of people do I need? What training do I need to give them to enable that all to happen? And lastly, what's the financial strategy they need? What are the resources they need to make all of this go? So there's a very clear strategic model that outstanding businesses use that make their business work a lot better than other businesses, because they follow that model. They understand why they're there, how it's happening, what are the operational issues they need to put in place, and so on. So if we come back to our athlete, we understand clearly our athlete's got that vision, they know their diets, they understand their fitness levels, they understand they're always looking at their technique and how they can improve that. But one of the things they have that most businesses don't have is that they have a coach or mentor. Excuse me. And that coach or mentor is there, one, to clearly understand what their vision and purpose is, what they're trying to achieve, and having an understanding of that, then be able to then set the targets and so on in relation to diet, fitness levels, and so on, and hold them accountable for that. Make sure they're doing those things and they're achieving those things. And continually then looking at their technique and trying to find improvements in their technique, so that all of that leads to hopefully an improvement in their performance. So in summary, I think a truly successful business is one that clearly understands that business. They understand that the holistic look at that business. They understand very clearly who the target markets are. They understand very clearly the processes they need to be able to get there. They understand the customer service programs they need to put in place. They understand what they need to do with their suppliers and so on. They have a very clear picture of where that's going. They understand their business model. They understand their business terminology. They understand their financial methods, their tools, the numbers that they're producing. They know what they mean, those key performance indicators. They know when things aren't working. They know when things are improving. So without business understanding, I think business owners will lack the credibility that earns an invitation to the leadership table. But with your business understanding, you have a springboard for really sustained career growth and career business success. So, and finally, what makes an outstanding business, I think, is about people within a system being outstanding at achieving their particular vision or purpose, because it really all comes back to that, the vision of the business and the purpose of why you're there, and helping achieve that. And outstanding businesses understand that very clearly, and their people and their systems are all designed around achieving that. Thank you. Is there any questions? At the bottom of your, or on the screen in your webinar, there is a box that you can go in and ask questions. I'll try to keep this very short today to make sure that you can get back to work. But hopefully I've been able to point you in the right direction in relation to what I think is really important about understanding and having a successful business. And it's about that systems and those processes. The financials help us understand a bit, but it's the systems and processes that drive everything, and they're the enablers that enable you to then get successful. So the more you work on those areas, improve those systems, improve those processes, the better the business you're going to get. Do we have any questions, please? If you go into that box and put them up, and I'll try and answer them for you. If no questions, I thank you very much for enjoying it. I will be taping this and putting it up, and I'll send you a recording. Okay, looks like there's no questions. Thank you. And if any questions, please feel free to call me, and I'm happy to talk to you about any issues within your business. Thanks very much. Bye.